Truly he is the one, he has no father or son.
Truly he is the one, he has no father or son.
Everything in creation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'll be stepping in now. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that spared our lives to witness this yet another glorious month this year. We thank all our guests and speakers for showing up. Our next speaker will be taking us financial intelligence. She's in person of Alhaja Saidat Adeola Otiti. She's someone we're very familiar with, I'm sure. But I would just like to give a brief background so we know that this is someone that really knows their onions. She is the founder and chief executive officer of Baytuzzeenah Ltd, an Islamic culture and awareness outfit which has been in operation since 2001 and has been in the forefront of promoting Islamic lifestyle with retail outlets across the Lagos state. Alhaja Saidat has an MBA in finance from the University of Lagos and has had considerable experience in banking and finance, having worked for over 11 years in the banking sector. She left the banking sector at senior management level in 2000 to set up Baytuzzeenah Ltd. Her experience in banking and finance spans corporate finance, small and medium enterprise banking, export and trade finance, branch banking, and credit risk management. She was the head of the risk management department of former Chartered Bank, now Stanbic IBTC Bank, before she left the bank in 2000. She's also knowledgeable in Islamic banking and finance. She has an MSc with distinction in Islamic economics, banking and finance from Loughborough University, United Kingdom. She was one of the few resource persons from 2002 in the Enlightenment campaign team to enlighten the Nigerian populace on Islamic banking and finance through lectures at various venues across the southwest of Nigeria, and enlightenment through the media, print, and television. In the wake of the introduction of Jais International Bank, a non-interest banking initiative, and its private placement, she's an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. She has won many awards for excellence, including the Best Overall Postgraduate Islamic Economic Banking and Finance Prize for 2001 academic year at the University in United Kingdom. Please join me as we welcome Hajia Saidat Adeola Otiti. That will be discussing financial intelligence. Assalamu alaikum.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I say salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The topic before me today is financial intelligence. Why financial intelligence? Financial aptitude or financial intelligence would equip you with not just how to make money, but how to manage the money. What do you do with the money when you make the money? How do you keep the money much longer? How do you make money work hard for you? Financial intelligence is simply having more options. If an opportunity does not present itself, what do you do to improve your financial position? And if an opportunity lands on your lap and you have no money, nor will the financier talk to you, what do you do? How do you make the opportunity work in your favor? It is how creative you are in solving financial problems. Financial intelligence is actually a synergy of so many skills and talents, including technical skills like accounting, financial literacy, and how to read accounts, the science of supply and demand, understanding laws, understanding markets, the money market, the capital market, and what have you. Understanding laws, awareness of rules and regulations, tax, corporate, state, and federal rules, and how to work within these rules. Financial intelligence is required to create wealth that grows automatically and stays ahead of inflation. To create that today's money for your tomorrow. And like the analogy of planting a plant, you water it for so many years, and then one day, it does not require you. Its roots are deep-rooted, and then it provides the fruits and shades that you can then enjoy thereafter. Financial intelligence is to take cognizance of the guidance given by our Creator for wealth acquisition and wealth management. That is through faith, through worship, and through moral conduct. Three things that can guarantee peace in this world and in the hereafter. Too many people are focused on making money and not on their greatest wealth, which is their education. If people are prepared to learn, to keep an open mind, and to keep an open mind and to be flexible, they will grow richer and richer despite tough times and changes. If they think money in and of itself will solve problems, then they're going to have a rough ride. Intelligence solves problems and makes money. Money wealth without financial intelligence is money that is soon gone. How many times have you found people that come across money, windfall of money, maybe by inheritance or a pay rise, people in financial mess, and no sooner they're back into the financial mess. Why? Because they don't have the financial intelligence. Financial intelligence should be acquired as soon as possible. It's never too early. If you have not consciously cultivated this, the time to do that is now. And delay is not good. Delay is going to cost you two things. First, the time, and then the learning. Having no money, for instance, is no excuse. Financial intelligence is useful whether you are an employee, an employer, supplier of labor, a service provider, a corporate body, and what have you. The same principles apply. Let's talk about earnings. There's a mindset and attitude that goes with earnings. A lot of people have this mentality, this entitlement mentality. They are always about what they're entitled to. And this irrespective of the responsibilities that go with the entitlement. Do not have an entitlement mentality. Why? Because it builds financially needy people. Work instead for financial self-reliance. Deliver more service than you are paid for. This is sound advice for several reasons. And one of it is, every person who forms the habit of delivering more than they are paid for would eventually stand out above the common crowd like a skyscraper above an ordinary building. And there's keen competition for his services. What I'm saying is, give the best service that you are able to give, regardless of the amount being paid or how much you receive for it. And soon, much sooner than you imagine, you are going to get the benefit of that. You will become a marked person that everybody is seeking after. Higher responsibilities will come your way. Greater responsibility will come your way. And of course, with greater remuneration. all of these will be trusted your way. Deliver the best service that you can, not necessarily for the consideration of the purchaser, but for yourself. Failure to practice this habit is the chief obstacle that stands between 95% of people and success. Same way it works with a business entity. Deliver excellent service. Exceed your customer expectations. And the customer satisfaction that come along would bring repeat business as well as referral that you cannot begin to quantify monetarily. Working to learn rather than just to earn. That should be what you should be striving for. It makes you an asset, not only to your company, but to yourself. Work to gain experience. Work to gain skills. Work to gain exposure, which will serve you better in the long run. Seek to learn more than you seek to earn. In the short term, it may apparently earn you less, but trust me, in the long run, you are going to be the better word for it. Groom yourself. You want to learn to be exposed to as much as possible. You want to know a little bit about a lot. That's what you're taught when you go to business school, when you go for an MBA, for instance. They teach you a little bit about everything. Accounting, management, marketing, business law, and that makes you a better person. You are in a position to work in a corporation or to stand on your own. Now, with the right mindset, with the right attitude, the earnings will come. So what do you do with the earnings? You've got to have a judicious allocation of your financial resources. What do I mean by that? Prioritizing your needs, saving, controlling your expenditure, and saving a certain percentage of your earned income consistently. The key word, consistently. Budget the necessary expenses within what remains after you've allocated savings from your earnings. And why do you need to budget? It shows up the leaks in your purse so that you can block it and deploy your resources to where it's most definite, for more definite and gratifying purposes. So, I did say a bit of your earnings into savings. Savings and investment. Savings gives you a fallback position in the event of an emergency or contingencies. Savings also act as a buffer, as a fodder for your investment, so that when an opportunity presents itself, you at least have some liquidity to be able to take advantage of the opportunity. Do not dip into savings except to create more money or indeed in dire emergency. I haven't said that. You've got to be careful not to leave idle funds, your savings just lying idle for too long. Be on the lookout always for wise and productive use of your savings. We're encouraged as Muslims to put money to productive use. Otherwise, the yearly zakat will eat into it. And depending on where the funds are placed, you run the risk of earning interest on the funds, or that your funds are being utilized for interest-based transaction with or without your permission. And we all know what Islam says about riba, interest. It is forbidden. Invest in or create assets that have the potential to generate income. Ultimately, the idea is to convert a portion of your earned income into passive or portfolio income. Passive income like investing in real estate, a portfolio income like investing in stocks and securities. Indeed, the Quran encourages believers to engage in beneficial trade and to invest. It even uses the language of finance to urge Muslims to piety. Among many poetic metaphors in the Quran, the call for believers to invest their human efforts in a beautiful loan to Allah, Quran 2:245, is among one of the most pointed exhortations. Knowledge is very fundamental. Invest first in education. In reality, the only real asset you have is your mind. The most powerful we have dominion over, and this is nurtured by knowledge and experience. Invest in seminars, lectures, summits, read books, attend lectures. At best, you come out with life-saving tips. You gain access you gain access, tremendous insight into the facilitators or the work or the lecturers' insights. At the least, it's a refresher thing to you. Even if you have your own insights, it gives you alternatives. This takes a measure of humility. You must be humble. A lot of people that are arrogant or critical people, they have issues of low self-esteem. In short, I'm saying, get yourself into the learning mode, always. You cannot afford to do otherwise. In today's fast-paced and fast-changing world, it is not so much what you know that counts sometimes. It is how fast, how willing, how best you are able to learn and relearn, to be flexible. This is priceless. This skill is priceless. Not only
all praises and gratitude is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the controller of all affairs. Admonition Islamic Center hereby expresses solidarity with Nigerians at this critical moment of our nationhood due to the scourge of COVID-19 globally. We especially feel for the Muslim Ummah, who from all indications will have to start the 2020 Ramadan season in complete lockdown. There won't be Taraweeh, no physical tafsir sessions, no joint iftar, no itikaf, and possibly no Eid al-Fitr prayers. For the same reason, the AIC is supposed to be 10 years this year, and arrangements have been concluded to feature 10 guest speakers for 10 hours at the prestigious National Art Theatre Igomu, Lagos on Saturday 2nd May 2020. But by Allah's will, it will not hold again. We take solace in the fact that Allah is the best of all planners and He alone knows best. We beseech Allah to spare our lives till next year's Ramadan 2021, inshallah. We pray for Allah's forgiveness, that Allah heals the world, put an end to this pandemic, and give us the privilege to be together for His sake again, to witness more Ramadan in good health. Ameen. Inshallah, our focus this 2020 Ramadan in our own little way is to provide foodstuffs to the fasting Muslims who are in need. May your rewards be great with Allah as you join us to make this dream a reality. For inquiries, call 0802-335-5870, 0808-690-5870, or 0708-378-7920. Account details: Admonition Islamic Center, Bank, Sterling Bank, account number 050-021-1796. Lukman Adekombi for AIC. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan, ya Habib.
you have to have the know-how in your area of business. You must learn about business systems. You must learn about management of cash flow, management of people, management of systems. You need to increase your capacity to earn more by concentrating on generating cash flow in whatever it is that you're doing. Concentrate on generating positive cash flow. Once you have a sustainable cash flow source, it puts you in a good position. You are able to plan on this, and you are able to deploy this to other uses. It provides liquidity. You can then bank on this for further investments in assets, for further investments as source of repayment or amortization in a financial arrangement. You can bank on it to provide seed capital for other ventures. You can bank on it towards your equity contribution in a partnership or financing arrangement to cover expenses. And you can deploy back into other income-generating assets. Positive cash flow is a measure of your repayment ability, your repayment capability in a financing arrangement. Never go a borrowing if you cannot envisage where the cash flow is going to come to service the loan. Avoid debt for debt's sake. Self-discipline is very key here. It may be easy to generate the cash flow, but it could be hard to have the discipline to be able to deploy the cash generated to useful uses. Master the power of self-discipline. It is easier in today's consumer world to simply spend on consumption. My advice would be, use your desire for consumption. Let that propel you. Let that inspire and motivate your financial genius to invest instead, such that the income generated from your investment can then be a reward for your consumption and spending. We need to have income generated from assets that fully cover your expenses. And if you must increase your expenses, then you must first increase cash flow to accommodate the increase in expenses. Have the excess cash flow from your assets reinvested in more assets. The more money that goes towards asset acquisition, the more it grows and the more your cash flow grows. And as long as expenses are kept below the cash flow from this source, from these assets, the more income from other sources are generated. The key to becoming financially comfortable is the ability to convert earned income into passive or portfolio income as quickly as possible. What are the financial options and investments that we have? A wide array of opportunities are out there. It can be confusing. But start by putting them through what I call the faith filter. The faith filter. Is this halal? In Islam, we have halal and haram. They are allowed and the forbidden. You are not allowed to invest, to take part, to be part of ventures that are riba-based, that is interest. You are not allowed to invest, to take part in ventures that deal with alcohol, gambling, cheating, etc. So, you put your options through the faith filter, and you find that a lot of these confusing options are limited. You are able to then look critically at the options that are allowed. Such filtering will invariably eliminate a lot. The challenge then is finding good investments that are profitable and would generate positive cash flow, and above all, are halal. You could become an entrepreneur, investing in your own business. You could invest in businesses that do not require your presence, that is, owned by you but managed by others. You could invest in stocks and securities. You could invest in income-generating real estate, earn royalties from intellectual property such as books and patents, anything else that has value, produces income, or appreciates and has a ready market. Invest wisely. Learn to manage risk, not to avoid them. It is a common knowledge that the higher the risk, the more likely the reward is. The higher the reward, the higher the risk. So what you want to do before you make a move at investing, do your analysis, rigorous one at that. Do your sensitivity analysis. Think through all the scenarios that may arise to jeopardize projected cash flow. Consider the best case scenario, the more likely scenario, and even the worst case scenario. What are the key issues that could negatively impact on cash flow? And think through the mitigants for these. Now, you don't have to do this on your own. Depending on what it is that you want to get into, you can get experts and professionals. This will save you money in the long run. It will save you the stress, and you'll be learning alongside. Go into any investment only after critical analysis, taking informed decision. Focus, prioritize, and plan ahead. It wasn't raining when Prophet Noah ﷺ built the ark. Integrity, self-discipline is an asset. Be trustworthy. Earn the trust of others. It's an invaluable asset. Funds can be borrowed conveniently from financiers when they have your trust, when you are trustworthy, when you are credible. Creditors are more inclined to extend credit, both in terms of the tenure and the limits. Jobs, business will come your way more easily. The best of deals will come your way. You are entrusted with people's assets, e.g., you are able to get consignment sometimes even without a financial outlay on your part. On a sale, maybe you're given something to sell on a sale or return basis, on a sale or commission basis. Because the other party is sure that there will be no issue about you remitting what is due to them. Credit card issuers they love credible customers. Your credit card's limit will get increased even without your asking. I can attest to that. And on the other hand, if the slightest doubt about your credibility, they can reduce your limit or even withdraw it. Financiers love and go after credit-worthy customers. There's so many opportunities out there for financing options for small, medium-scale enterprises. All, no exceptions, require credible, trustworthy people or concerns. Have integrity, be trustworthy, be creditworthy. Obey the rules and laws guiding your operation. For instance, pay your taxes and do so as and when due. It is easier, cheaper, less stressful than the accumulation and penalties that will arise otherwise. Now, there's the added bonus of faith, being Muslims. Pay your zakat. You are a repository of Allah's treasure. Zakat purifies your wealth. It actually causes the growth of the wealth. When there is barakah in your wealth, that's what you want. Zakat, paying your zakat, shows gratitude. And when you show gratitude to Allah, He has promised to give you more. The purpose of man's creation is to worship Allah. And many falsely assume that compromising acts of worship so as to increase efforts in seeking earnings will increase the person's wealth. Allah assures mankind of their risk and promises that if they are faithful to Him and worship Him alone, He will provide their sustenance with ease and blessings. Each and every one of us have their provisions written from our mother's womb. All you have to do is to strive for it and do so in an halal manner. Avoid haram. What has been decreed will come to you. All you have to do is to strive for it in an halal or haram manner. If you strive for it in an haram manner, that is sure to lead to failure. If you strive for it in an halal manner, that will lead to success. Striving for your risk in an halal manner itself constitutes an act of worship. Like every other mundane thing in Islam, when you strive for it correctly, with the right intention, sincerity of intention, the purity of intention, it becomes an act of worship. And say you get the reward, the material reward, as well as the reward promised by Allah for worship. Build up faith and put your faith in Allah. Faith, worship, and good moral conduct. These are three things that can guarantee peace and success and salvation in here and in the hereafter. Nurture, maintain, and perfect them. As Muslims, it makes sense for us to avail ourselves of some, if not all, of the avenues open to us to increase our risk, our provisions with effortless ease. To mention but a few, Qiyamun Layl, that's the night prayer. Tahajjud, get up and pray. You have been promised blessings when you do so. Istighfar, asking God for forgiveness. Istighfar, if you do so, not only do you get the forgiveness, you get blessed. Asking for forgiveness, doing istighfar constantly, also increases the blessing of wealth and so many other blessings. Sadaqat, giving in charity. Allah says nobody ever gives in charity, but would get more. You always get more than you can even give, than you can ever give. Also the decree of Allah. Do a lot of dhikr. All of these are means, easy means that the Prophet had told us would increase our risk. And they are also acts of worship. I'd like to end with a prayer of the Prophet that goes thus: Allahumma kfini bi alalika wa agnini bi fadlika amman siwaka. Oh Allah, suffice me with what you have allowed, that's allowed, instead of what you have forbidden, and make me independent of all others besides you. I'd also like to end with a prayer from the Quran. Rabbana atayna fi dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. Our Lord, give us in this world that which is good, and in the hereafter that which is good, and save us from the torment of the fire. Amen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Say Jazakumullah khairan to our lecturer. May Allah continue to increase her in knowledge. She has shared with us how to maximize our wealth, so to speak, giving us all the nitty-gritty of financial intelligence, not only making the money, judicial allocation of our resources. When we make the money, we should learn to purify our wealth. Zakat, sadaqah increases the barakah in our wealth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us financially intelligent. That will make us be able to benefit the ummah and the beneficial Muslims, inshallah. Questions for our lecturer? Questions? So everything is well understood, mashallah. Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's not really a question per se. I just want to thank you for everything you've taught us this morning. and I would just like to re-highlight something she said about being disciplined. In short, reading a book on the autobiography of a man named John D. Rockefeller, he's been the richest man ever in terms of inflation, and he made Standard Oil. And in the book, what he said principally was to live within your means. So whatever or however amount of money you make, if you don't learn to live within your means by being disciplined, as she said, it will never be enough. Because many examples from people who have earned so much but still spend more than they earn, they get into trouble. So whichever way you make money, by adding value and using everything she said, we still need to learn to live within our means by being disciplined. So thank you very much.
Oh, angel of war.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I just want to make a short contribution. Jazakallahu khairan to our lecturer for a brilliant presentation. The perspective that I want to add is on religious sentiments in financial and investment decisions. A lot of us, myself inclusive, we make the mistake sometimes when we allow religious sentiments to affect our business and investment decisions. As I said, I will use myself as an example. I had a project, and I insisted that I wanted a Muslim brother to execute the project. To cut the long short, the Muslim brother messed up my job, but at least for that moment, I couldn't find another Muslim brother to do the job. I ended up with somebody else. It will have benefited me to spend all that money to get a good job done, and whatever profit or reward that I gained, I gave part of it to that brother, rather than allowing my religious sentiment to give the job to the wrong person. That way, it's not financially smart to take investment or financial decisions based on such sentiments. Also, Islam recommends that we should be generous. We should give generously. But then even zakat, Allah limited it, 2.5%. So which means we don't have to give everything. You give part of what you have and invest the rest. And whatever you get from the investment, you can give part of it again, so that you don't also fall within the poverty circle, which, who will be expecting zakat from other people. So if you're already out of the zakat hole, you don't want to get back in there. So you want to make sure that you stay out so that you are able to help others. That means in giving, even though you must be generous, you must not overdo it. Finally, sometimes also, and I will give a practical example here. A brother approached me. He had a business and he needed some funding. And we analyzed the business together. Everything came to like 100,000, 120,000 naira he needed to keep the business going. And alhamdulillah, we were able to raise that sum. 3 months later, the brother came to me and said he wanted to go for Ode in Pakistan. And I said, what is happening in Pakistan? He said they'll go on 3 months Ode. I'm sure we all understand the Ode. And I said, hey, you have just invested 120,000 naira in your business. The business is yet to find its footing, and you want to go to Pakistan for 3 months Ode. Where will the money come from? And who will run your business while you are away? Anyhow, I'm sorry, I don't have money for Pakistan. To cut the long story short, this brother pulled all the money from his business, bought a ticket and went to Pakistan. And by the time he came back, the business had collapsed and he needed more money again to raise the business. This is purely religious sentiment, which does not make any financial smartness. And this is what I want to draw our attention to, brothers and sisters. When we pray to Allah to bless us, when He finally blesses us, let us make sure we protect the wealth that Allah has given us so that it can grow, so that we can use it to help more people, rather than us falling back into the trap of those who need to be helped. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, there's a question from a sister. She's asking that in a situation in which one has ideas on investments, has a source to generate the funds, but has no time, what should we do?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Okay, let me read it. In a situation in which one has ideas on investment, has a source to generate the fund, but has no time, what should we do? Excuse me, you are interested in an investment and you have no time. How may I help you with that? You have no time. I don't get that. No, maybe the sister should say exactly what the question is. You are interested in an investment. You've got the source of how to generate the funds for it, and then you have no time. How am I supposed to answer that question?
Okay, if the sister doesn't want to speak up, maybe you can meet with the lecturer after this timeout. I would invite Brother Tunde Abdulsalam to introduce the next speaker.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Actually, I was the one that wrote the question. What I meant by that question is some of us are in paid employment already. So we might be too busy because of the demands of our job. We have the funds, we have ideas, but there is no time to spare for the investment we want to engage in. Because there is this idea that if you are not present at in your investments, that the people you employ to manage the business, there is the fear of they running down the business in your hello? Okay. In one's absence. So that's the question here. How does one manage such situations?
Okay. Now I understand you. Okay. It now depends on what kind of investment or business you're talking about. Now, in your case, you are in paid employment and you are thinking of an investment. It depends. Are you thinking of setting up something like being an entrepreneur? That's one. Are you thinking of investing, say, in a mutual fund? That doesn't need you. It doesn't need your time. Thinking of investing in the capital market? It doesn't need you. It doesn't need your time. Thinking of investing in real estate, for instance, buying a property and getting the rental income? That wouldn't need you, not your time. Or multi-level marketing, where you can call people to join you outside of work. That would take part of your time, but it wouldn't take too much. You can do that part-time until such a time that you're comfortable, that you can opt out of paid employment. Now, but if we are talking about setting up a business in this climate, in our own society, it's very hard. If you're setting up something and you're not there, we still don't have that culture where people work without supervision. So what you want to do in that instance is to set up a concern that is process-driven. And you've got to get that very right. When I say process-driven, you set up a company that you can monitor from wherever you are, whether you're in paid employment, outside of the country or whatever. You put systems and processes in place that will click, that will let you know when things are going wrong. If you understand what I mean. But that in itself needs for you to have the knowledge, for you to know exactly what processes you want to put in place and how to monitor these processes. You can get the expert advice on this kind of thing, business you want to do, and how you want to go about it.
Who is the loved one?
Allah.
Who is Ar-Rahman?
Allah.
Who is Al-Mannan?
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur